Hello and welcome to a new edition of Design for the Times. I'm your host, Richard Christopher Scuderi. I'm very happy to have in studio today somebody who I very much respect. In fact, the whole family. They have a wonderful, in central New Jersey, they have a wonderful furniture store that's been around for probably about 40 years. And that furniture store is, I'm going to say, make sure I say this right, it's Gasiors Furniture, and that's in Belmead, New Jersey. It's important I do that right because I have live in studio with me Todd Gasior, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
I really wanted to do this show, and I think about 3 months ago I came out to you and I said, I really want to do your story and your family story because I see a lot of fine furniture going away.
Right.
And it's very disappointing to me, having been in the business for 22 so years, that fine furniture is not having the starring role that it once had. It always will be around. People will always discern quality, and in certain areas of the home, quality is paramount. But tell me a little bit about your company, how you guys got started, where you're located, your website, and so on.
Yeah, okay. Well, my brother, myself, Greg, and myself are third generation in the furniture business. My grandparents had a store in North Jersey.
Who's the older one, you or your brother?
My brother's older.
Okay.
And so they had a different type of store, less formal, electronics.
And where was that?
Passaic, New Jersey.
Oh, Passaic,
yes.
Okay. So you guys then moved down to Belmead?
Yes, we had lived down here actually, so my parents
you were
were
going
down
up
here.
back then.
Right, yes, yeah. My parents would take us on weekends.
Right.
And then my parents decided to open, we lived in West Windsor at the time, so they decided to open up their store.
Sure.
And that was 40 years ago.
Wow. In the building it is now?
Yes, yes.
Now that building I find to be a very beautiful building. You said it was a schoolhouse before.
Yes.
And you know, now that I passed it, because I wound up going the other way because I had to pick up something, it does look like a schoolhouse, but not at first it doesn't.
Right, no.
Yeah. If you ever go down towards Princeton, you take 206 South, you'll pass a really beautiful building on the right-hand side that's cedar shakes, and it has a beautiful awning on the front. It almost looks like one of those Bayhead shore houses with a yellow and white striped awning. A really pretty place, and big.
It is.
Much bigger than it looks on the outside.
Yes, it's 10,000 square feet, and it's deceiving because there are 2 floors of furniture.
Yeah.
So you kind of walk up the bell tower entranceway.
Right.
We have the original maple wood floors, tin ceiling. And the building itself is 100 years old.
Oh, is it 100 years old? And then the upstairs is very different than downstairs because the upstairs is set up as vignettes of different rooms.
Yes, correct.
With wallpapers and different scenarios.
Yes.
But then downstairs, in a way, almost seems bigger.
Yes, I know, because it's some more open, where it's sectioned off.
Right.
So there's more open rooms. Upstairs tend to be a little bit more formal.
Right.
Downstairs seem a little less formal.
Right. Now, you right now have something very big going on at your store, and that is that your father is retiring.
Yes, correct.
And you're having a big retirement sale.
Yes.
So because of this, are you selling a lot off the floor? And did you always sell off the floor? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, we always have sold off the floor.
You have.
But the majority of our business tends to be more special order.
Sure, I would imagine it is.
Yes, because of the interior design services we offer. So a lot of custom fabrics on upholstery, and that makes it
sure.
Special
Specialized.
order, right.
Exactly. So I remember going downstairs and seeing great chairs and rooms of like different stuff and a lot of variety. That at any time somebody could go downstairs and say, okay, I need to end chairs and pick up something.
Yes, we do sell off the floor also.
I did notice that you had a very big white van when I was there the other day, so you do deliver your own stuff?
Yes, we do deliver our own, and we also use an outside service for larger
orders and so on.
Yes.
We were talking about trends and about fine furniture and things that are changing, and I want to go through with you room by room some of the things. A lot of this is your ideas and what people are asking you for.
Right.
So one of the things that I want to start with is living rooms, because living rooms in themselves are kind of an enigma. Living rooms have changed a lot.
Yes.
When people were building houses, as you know, probably the house you grew up in and I grew up in, the biggest room in our house was the living room.
Right.
The room that was the least used in our house was the living room, right? And I don't know why they did that way. You think it would be the other way around. It'd be a small showroom in the front and a big back, but it wasn't. So that room was always a very formal room, and that's how people lived, and people put their money into that room. And then, of course, the dining room.
Right.
And then the back of the house, if you're lucky enough to have a family room, that was like the afterthought furniture or the old furniture.
Right.
It seems that life has changed, and people, if they physically have a living room, they're not necessarily using it as a living room, are they?
No, not so much anymore. With the homes, they're entertaining more in the family rooms and larger kitchen areas and open
They're
concept.
using the back of the house. And the first thing they're doing on trend is they're taking down interior walls.
Right.
And they're opening up the space, so it's one big space.
Yes.
If there's still a designated separate living room, they're using that space more casually. And the first thing I think people were doing that changed it is they're putting a flat screen on the wall.
Yes.
So just by adding a TV to a space, two things will happen. One, it will have to be somewhat more casual.
Right.
But two, is it will get a lot more use.
Right.
So I'm sure people are still coming to you now to do their living room, but they're probably not doing it as formally. Is that kind of true?
No, that's definitely true because they're not being used as much.
Exactly.
So they're definitely downscaling that a little bit and really putting more of the efforts towards the family room. And
when I first started 22 years ago, people's living rooms always had a sofa, a love seat, and then two formal chairs.
Right.
I'm seeing people not even using love seats anymore. Is that true?
No, you do see less of them.
Of the love seats.
More chairs now are used and more.
Right. Sometimes even just two sets of chairs make more sense, right?
Yes.
In a space or modular type seating. Or if you have the depth to sofas because you get more seating out of it.
Yes.
So that was one of the things that I saw trending.
Yeah.
The second thing was I don't see people necessarily using as many formal glass coffee tables. I'm seeing people using ottomans with a tray on it, where people put their feet up. It's more casual, so that's the thing.
Right, it's not so stuffy anymore.
Right,
entertaining.
And also the return of the table, the tray. Nested tables, I should say, that people are doing that a lot more. And I think nested tables were considered actually old-fashioned at one point. Not at all. I mean, you see them in all sorts of finishes, whether metal or they're, mica or what sort of finish that they do, that people are using them again.
They are. They're using them as functional, too.
Exactly. Another thing that I see happening is often if people are putting, the way fireplaces are often set up, if people are putting, they have a fireplace on one side, they can't hang, for whatever reason, they can't hang a TV, they hang it on the opposite wall. So I'm seeing people ask me again in their living rooms, because they're making them more casual, for swivel chairs. Are you seeing that as well?
We do. And they are a lot more streamlined than what they used to be.
Yeah.
When
it first started to come up, I said, oh, swivel chairs are going to look, like you're in a nursing home. But when I saw them, I don't know, I guess that maybe they sort of changed the mechanism. It's not as big.
Right, it's not as bulky, it's not as high off the ground.
Right.
They're almost just lower profile.
They're a lower profile. And then we were talking about the fact that sometimes in a living room now, if it's not that big, what I actually like to do is 4 very comfortable, beautiful chairs and a low coffee table or an ottoman with a tray, so that you could have conversation. And then you're not necessarily next to somebody on a couch. It's a little bit easier of a space.
Yes, it's more face-to-face, like we were talking earlier.
Exactly. And also simpler rugs, right? Simpler window treatments. No more printed couches. When was the last time somebody came into the store and said, oh, I want a floral couch?
Right, no, it's been a little while.
Or toile. Actually, even I would say maybe 13 years ago, a lady had a beautiful classic sofa, and she loved blue and white toile, and we covered it in a blue and white toile. And that actually worked for her, and it probably still looks great today. But for the most part, not patterned sofas, huh?
No, not so much anymore. More neutrals, blending with the rooms.
Do you find that when people are looking for neutrals, they usually add some sort of a texture to it? They want some texture?
Yes, they do. They do.
I would say, for me, for sofas in a living room, the most popular color is still white, gray, or maybe navy. Those are the 3. How about you? Would you say about
the same too, and some grays and some different offsets.
With pillows, I might have some patterning in the chairs, but often consistently geometric patterns, right?
Yeah, we've seen a lot.
Not stripes.
No, not so much stripes anymore.
Texture or geometric?
Yes.
And less color in general, don't you think?
Yes.
And the colors only come in the form of a pop, as in pillows.
Right.
Let's switch a little bit to dining rooms, because I also think that dining rooms have changed a lot. The dining room that I grew up in, probably you grew up in, had of course the wood table, the matching set, right? Everything was about a set, the matching wood chairs. Maybe the end chairs were a little bit more special, or just they had arms on them. And then you had your china cabinet, which was the biggest of the big deals. Often it was lit. And then you had a sideboard. The first thing I see from people is they tell me when they want to do a makeover, they want to lose the china cabinet. And I often say to them, china cabinet gives you a lot of storage.
And display too on the top.
And display on the top, and light, right? Because sometimes they only have a big dining room, only has a center chandelier, and it doesn't have perimeter lighting. But often I lose that battle, and people want to lose. They don't like their wedding china anymore. They want to make it more casual, so we lose that piece. Do people still ask you for china cabinets?
Occasionally, but we tend to see more buffets to the floor, and like you mentioned, sideboards.
Sideboards. So I'm seeing that people are asking for sideboards, but they don't necessarily want the sideboard anymore to match the set. Often, if they have an existing set with a sideboard, they make me have my decorative artist paint that sideboard, perhaps black or a soft dark gray blue or an accent color. They'll keep the core table with the leaves, right, because it's quality, but they get rid of the china cabinet. They buy a new sideboard, or they paint the sideboard, and then they replace the chairs. And most often I see upholstered chairs. Are people asking you for that in new sets?
I find that they are, and sometimes maybe not fully upholstered, but you know, sometimes the upholstery will soften up the look too as well.
And also, I
get
think,
away from the wood.
Exactly, and also I think with the newer floor plan where everything is more open, so now we don't have paint color on the walls anymore. That's a saturated color. Fabric chairs are an opportunity to bring some color into a space. Otherwise, it would be kind of colorless. And it would denote that that was a dining room space. But definitely more simplistic. You can have a formal table, but then don't you think the coexisting of formal with informal in itself is kind of interesting looking?
Yes, I do. I mean, you can mix and match nowadays too, a lot more than what you used to be.
You almost are kind of required to do that, to reinvent. And if you're happy with what you have, or your furniture is in very good shape, going to somebody like you guys and getting a really good new sideboard, or getting new chairs, not junk chairs, but quality chairs, because a dining room chair to me is very important. You're sitting in a dining room chair for hours, all different body types, and it needs to be a good, comfortable chair.
Absolutely.
Sometimes people, it's funny, people say, I inherited my grandmother's dining set. We finally have a house. When I went to put it in, what happened? The chairs are too small. I think people used to be smaller, right? So dining room chairs for 100-year-old sets are really small, right? They're not the chairs of the way we live today, and maybe how our bodies are today. So I will, in that case, keep that beautiful table, that dark wood table, and then put more of a comfortable chair. I'm often seeing people, just to break it up a little bit, if they keep the wood chairs, the side chairs, the armchairs I usually change out. I find that people tell me, regardless of the set, they don't really like armchairs anymore. Do you find that too?
Yes, I think so.
Just for the comfort and so on, to have all the chairs be side chairs, or side chairs and then two big upholstered chairs.
Host and hostess chairs,
and the thing. Or sometimes I'll even, if they want to keep the set, I'll just buy two beautiful upholstered head chairs and take the armchairs and put them on either side of the sideboard. So you don't have them down the basement, or you don't get rid of them, but it gives you more opportunity. And another thing, reason I think that people are doing that, of having those chairs that are cloth, that are comfortable and quality and don't have arms, is because in the newer floor plan, whether we open up walls or whether we have a newer house, it's very easy when you have a lot of company to take that chair into the other room, and have those things coexist together.
And you were talking about replacing pieces in your dining room. It's so much easier now to mix and match manufacturers and finishes.
And you don't have to worry about this doesn't match anymore, this has been discontinued. When do you think, Todd, that you started to see a real shift? Because your stuff was very classic. So if I bought something from you in 1995 and I came back in 2005, probably could even still get it, or it was still very much in style because it was in the core traditional. When did you start to see a shift to the fact you thought, ooh, we're going to have to change things a little bit?
Probably about, it started probably 15, 12 years ago, I would say. we've seen that transition to go more transitional, to mixed pieces.
Do you think it initiated from the furniture makers because people that were buying good furniture weren't buying new good furniture because it was still in style and still quality?
Yes, and the recession I think had a lot to do with that too.
And then 2008 came and then all bets were off.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of funny. I say this often. When I started my career 22 years ago, we were in the dot-com years and the beginning, and there was new wealth and money around, and people spent money much more freely.
Yes.
The way people got jobs was a lot different. There was more job security. There was more of a level of safety and security than we have now. So people of all different means would make those extra steps in those investments. After 2008, I think that people still did continue to decorate. You have to live, you move, even if you downsize. But people weren't necessarily as, I guess, as concerned about quality. Would you say that that was true?
Yes, it definitely is true, and of today too. You know, some of the younger generation are not as concerned with the quality, but you know, we're still maintaining a lot of the finer companies, the finer product.
And I think that's very important because how many furniture stores are there out there?
There's not as many mom and pop stores left. So.
You want to have certain pieces be quality. You want a dining set that you're going to have for 20, 30 years be quality. You want the chairs to be quality. You don't want to be replacing that stuff. You want a really good sofa that's going to last, that has a good frame. There are certain pieces, not every piece, you can pick and choose with accessories, but I think it's very important a store like your family business continue and people to know the importance of a small business. Do you find that the person that comes into your store is often a repeat customer, or are younger people coming in?
We do a lot of our business is repeat business.
Sure.
We grow with people, we move with people because of our interior design services. We'll help them to doing draperies, everything, floor plans.
Let's talk about family room spaces. We've talked a little bit about this. As most of you know that watch our program, I also do a radio show which streams live each Wednesday on Facebook. Called Modern Design, and we just taped that. And when we were talking about the sectional, the whole thing about the sectional, I don't like sectionals, but I'm told, not necessarily by the homeowners, because they're looking sometimes to me for advice, that people like sectionals. I guess if you have very young children, that kind of makes sense to me. But once your children are teenagers and so on, I think people like to have a little bit more room. What do people ask you for when they come in, if they're doing a casual space, a family room?
I think you do find younger people wanting the sectionals, the lounge around to watch TV, and if they do have larger families. But like you said, when they do go empty nesters, they kind of transition. They're tired of that look, and they want to switch it.
And make it look a little bit more streamlined. I think also the pieces themselves have gotten thinner, slimmed down. Remember, even like 20 years ago, if you go to Polo to buy a shirt, they had the big shirt. Shirts were big, right? The bigger, the better. Now, even in Polo, which is traditional, it's changed. It's a slimmer cut, right? I think the same thing happened to furniture. Because years ago, you'd see those big arms, right? Then it went to the English rolled arm, which was still round, but it was a little recessed. Now I see the track arm most often.
Yes, we do a lot of track arm as well.
And even the pillows, the tight back pillows now, and not as many pillows, right?
Yes, a cleaner look, a 2-cushion instead of a 3-cushion sofa.
And a smaller profile, even though rooms are big, and especially casual rooms seem to be the bigger rooms of the house now, smaller profile furniture.
Yes, definitely.
What about in general about how people live? Because people are doing televisions on the wall, are you selling consoles now for the equipment? Is that like a new piece of furniture that people are often asking
more
you
consoles where we're back years ago, it used to be they wanted the whole wall system and TV in there, and they'd have to house their electronics there, and now people are putting them in their basements. And, you know.
What about, are people asking you for furniture with storage? Often people say to me, especially if we're doing a family room, they want something that has storage for magazines, for remotes, that type of thing.
No, definitely on occasional items. You know, just a side table that has some area to do that. Even ottomans, storage ottomans for the remote controls, for things like that.
What about motorization? One of the things we did a show, I guess about 3 months ago, we did a show with Graber, and he said the biggest thing he saw coming in their business of blinds and shade is motorization. When it comes to those types of casual pieces of furniture, are people asking you for motorization? Are they asking you for recliners that go out
Oh,
because you
definitely,
push a
definitely
button.
seeing more of that too. And also even the bedding, motion bedding,
Oh, the
where it has
motion
become
bedding.
now, where it's,
You know, a question I didn't ask you is that
Right.
do you sell mattresses or sell them on behalf of another company?
oh, we do. We carry Shiftman mattresses.
I was
which
going to
is,
ask you, you
made
seem
right
like a
in-
Shiftman company. I bought a lot of mattresses in the
Right.
90s because I was a little further north at that time from Valley Furniture, which of course
yes.
is out of business.
Right.
And Penny, the daughter, is my neighbor.
Yes.
And Shiftman made such a good mattress.
They did. And
Now,
they
you
still
talked
do
about
today.
it in New Jersey, and
Yeah.
they still do it, and they're local, right? Are they still
Right,
in
they're
Newark?
Still in Newark, yes.
Right. And they really make a quality investment
They do.
mattress.
They do. They use
There's-
natural materials, it's
Right.
handmade mattress.
And people that know Shiftman know Shiftman.
They do.
But
They're
it's funny if
followers.
you're outside of New Jersey and you say, I want a Shiftman mattress, and they're like, what's that?
Right.
Buying a mattress, I think, is probably one of the most confusing things, don't you think?
It is. We try and simplify it when they're purchasing, rather than getting caught up in all the technical details. The best way to tell is to try it and lie in it.
I also think that's kind of difficult, too, because when you're lying on it in a public place, you're not lying on it for very long.
Right.
And I think it takes a while to do that.
Right.
And motorization, probably you're right with the mattresses most of all, right? People
Right.
want that
Yes.
comfort and so on.
Yes.
But some of my clients are downsizing, so their furniture from the 1960s and early 70s, they want gone.
Yes.
And they want to start new in a new, maybe 55 and over home, townhome, or condo. And they definitely want comfort and they want motorization.
Yes.
They want heat. They want, I think I wouldn't leave the house. I still have to work, right? You and I have to still work. I wouldn't leave the house if I was that comfortable.
Right.
But they want some
Yeah,
motorization.
we've seen that in recliners, like you said. And
Anything else
so.
that you see trending? Like, what are people asking you for? Do you ever come in and you say, oh, again, like, I remember I do a lot of color consulting.
Right.
And years before it was popular, a lady built a new custom home in Belmead. And a little more traditional looking on the outside, but she was from the city and they were coming out here and she said to me, I want you to paint every room a shade of gray. And I was like, are you nuts? You know, I didn't say, were you nuts?
Right.
I'm like, every shade of gray. And what I said at that time was, how about we paint some rooms gray, but some complementary colors
tie in.
that worked well with the
Yeah.
gray. So she agreed to that and it came out lovely. But that was the beginning. And then I heard it again and again and
Right.
again. And it was like all gray.
Right.
Are there things that people consistently ask you for and you say to me, oh, this is a change?
I think not just with the way the industry is and manufacturers, there's a lot more flexibility in what they
Okay.
can do. So when they're looking for upholstery and something different, updating, you have those choices of doing that track
You mean
arm. and-
more customization?
Right, exactly.
So one of the things that I'll say that people do seem to ask for is track arm. Now, I don't always remember the terms. What's the knife back with the, like, you know, the back of a sofa that have like the knife back or the different backs? I guess
Right,
not
yes,
loose
right,
pillows.
Loose pillow, the knife edge. and
Knife
that,
edge,
yes,
right.
right.
So that's like a cleaner kind of a profile?
Yes, well, the knife edge has a or single pleat knife edge.
Right.
So
And not
they do.
skirted bottom.
Right. No, a lot of people are doing exposed wood.
Right.
And more transitional.
And then what kind of leg do you see people ask for now, mostly on a sofa? Is there a specific leg that people like to ask for? The bun leg is out. Anything that's
right.
wide seems to be out, right?
No, it seems more of a tapered leg or
and then
most part.
even people are asking me for that taper leg not to be stained anymore. They want it to be gray or
Natural,
black,
right? Painted.
Or natural,
Finishes, yes.
exactly. So those little details make a difference. And of course, and I think it has to go out at some point, everybody wants nail heads on everything,
Right.
right?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's a simpler sofa, not a lot of color. We said basically white, gray, or maybe navy,
Yeah.
but nail heads.
Right.
How about, what do you think about the return of gold accents?
Yeah, it still works today.
It is-
Nowadays,
I think it depends on your time of life.
Right.
I think our generation, we probably made everything go from gold to probably a silver finish because it
Right.
was more in style. The next generation, I did an apartment in Upper Manhattan. She was 27. She wanted everything in a gold finish. I'm like,
Right.
oh my God, I just got rid of all my gold.
No, it's come back, but I think in more of a modern style than what the traditional old gold was and what you thought of it.
And you know what's funny about gold? Well, silver and gold with gray and blue always look good with
Right.
either. But gold with blue and gold with dark gray kind of look nice. There's like a freshness about the two things coming together, and it doesn't really seem old-fashioned.
Right.
Where do you think 5 years from now we're going to see styles go? Because, you know, we were traditional for quite a long time.
Right.
Now we're in a contemporary phase. I think because of technology, somehow technology fuels things being simpler and cleaner. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes,
So I think we're going to be in a contemporary phase for a while. There'll always be furniture for traditional facades because they're not going away. They're the better facades. Do you see anything coming or changing?
I think it's going to continue for years. Everything cycles in our industry, I think you know.
They come back like in a slightly different way.
Yes, in a different way. So I think when you're talking about finer furniture and still maintaining that, that you're just seeing more transitional looks, and that'll probably continue. But mixing in some of those traditional pieces still, and still that quality.
And having quality, and I think there will be a return. I think people will realize who went through 1-2 rounds with less expensive things that it wasn't worth it.
Right, and as they age and get progressive, then they'll say they're ready to, invest a little bit more.
Right, because people are embracing wallpaper again.
Yes.
I think the same thing will happen with fine furniture. I think people will designate, okay, I'm going to have a really good dining room table. I'm going to have one really good sofa that I can do with some comfortable chairs, and then make sure that I have a great mattress. So I think it will evolve to that.
Yes.
I also kind of think that color is going to return a little bit again. I think that we're going to look back and say, gray, what were we thinking?
I think the grays are starting to already
and they're starting to
phase.
And I think we're going to start to see, I actually think we're going to start to see a return of greens. I've already started to see in some of the trade magazines greens coming back. So blues, greens, and grays. Blues, greens, and grays, and we're going to start to see more color. We're just about 2 minutes left, and I want to make sure people come out to see you, especially right now. How long is the sale going to go for?
We're coming to the end of our sale now, retirement. So we have another 2 weeks left.
Okay, terrific.
Yes.
So it's so tell us the name of your business again.
Yes, it's Gagers Furniture.
Gagers Furniture, and you're located again
at 2152 US Highway 206 in Belmead,
New Jersey, right near Skillman and all the surrounding towns there, Rocky Hill, and close to Princeton.
Yes, we're only 7 miles north of Princeton.
Yeah, quick ride if you go there and go have lunch in downtown Nassau Street. And what is your phone number?
908-874-8383.
And I do believe you also have a website.
Yes, our website, which we have a lot of products showing online, and that is www.gasiorsfurniture.com. That's GASIORS furniture.com.
You know, it's funny, we were talking about it before. I thought it was like, I had a hard time pronouncing it because I thought it was French. Because when you see OIR, it kind of looks French. Do people ask if it's French?
They do. They ask what the
because it seems kind of French and so on. It's a lovely place, 10,000 square feet of space, a lot of versatility, and good service, like family service where
that's
people
what we're not high pressure sales, so we're really want you to feel comfortable and at home.
Can you buy from your site, or is it just to show it and then you come in to buy?
We have a lot of product online, but we are just starting up with the e-commerce, so we will.
I think it's very important not to buy a sofa over the internet.
I think more wood pieces
sit in a sofa. Furniture is something like buying a suit. You have to put it on, right? It has a frame. There's not standardized frames to some of these things, so you want to try things on. So definitely, and supporting a small business that's been around for 40 years, I think is a really wonderful thing. And I think your family is doing a good thing. And I'm glad to see that the tradition of this small business is going to continue with your generation and hopefully the following generation.
Thank you. My parents have worked hard for 40 years, and they still, well, my dad's going to retire, but my mom continues. So
thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. All right, appreciate it very much.
Going to continue with your generation and hopefully the following generation.
Thank you. My parents have worked hard for 40 years, and they still, well, my dad's going to retire, but my mom continues. So
thank you for being my guest.
Thank you. All right, appreciate it very much.